got money in my pocket, I'm all uptown. Let me take you to the neck of the woods of my hood. Show you what we living like. I was supposed to hide this ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. Yeah, I was supposed to be over here, so I like the imperfections in the room, right? The imperfections. Cause somehow over the weekend, somebody done knocked off part of my darn light switch. Ugh. As y'all know, they didn't paint the door behind the doorknob, but whatever. It's my last episode. This is the last episode of Big Babies Podcast, right? And before I go into the actual episode itself, I want to take some time to reflect on 200 episodes of doing this. Now, obviously, if you've been here, there's been more than like 200 actual episodes, but 200 episodes of Big Babies Podcast, like episodes that were just Big Babies Podcast, starring the Big Baby. We rolling, Big Baby. Holla, Big Baby. Holla, Big Baby. 200 episodes of that, right? This is the last of the 200. Now, don't get me wrong. We're still going to be doing the show with Parlay Pete. And we're going to come back with something new in time. I don't know when it's going to come. It'll come when it comes. But nonetheless, Big Baby's podcast is over. And honestly, I got to put the bottle down for the last time because I'm picking the bottle up. And I was sitting around thinking months ago. And I'm like, bro, you're a husband. You're about to be a dad. Now I'm a dad. How you gonna call yourself a big baby when you got you a little baby at home? And by little baby, I don't mean like a little lady. I mean I got my little lady at home. You know what I'm saying? But I got an actual baby at home. And it's time to put the bottle down and grow up. We're gonna put the baby to bed. So that's what we're gonna do. And usually, like 150, 150, like I do all the I wanna thank you for making me who I am and when I need to. I wanna thank you. Or like, you know, just giving all my thank yous and all my appreciations, like, man, I miss my dog. Me and you through thick and thin, me and you through Harry, all of that, right? But I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna say it's been a good run. Snapchat, to IG stories, to podcast, to both, to all three of them, to the whole shebang, right? It's been fun. It's been amazing. And I want to thank God first, and I want to thank you for all of it. But most importantly, I want to thank Cindy and Lo for bringing finality to it. I want to thank them for introducing me to a life that says, you're not a big baby no more. Holla, big baby! Holla, big baby! And I realized it got to the point to where people would ask me, what's the name of your podcast? And I go, I don't really want to tell them because it's too much to explain. It's like, oh my God, I no longer feel like Big Baby, right? I'm no longer going out to the bars, going out to the club, getting drunk on the story while I'm in there having the time of my life in the streets, which I really wasn't having as much fun as it looked like. I just made it look like fun because that's what you do on the internet, right? But I'm not that anymore. My life is so different, so I can't come on here and fake it. I got to be who I truly am. So when we come back with the new iteration, same feed, to be on the same feed, you're gonna see a different side. And I'm not gonna say you're gonna see like a different person. No, because a lot of what this podcast has transitioned to, one of the reasons why I hadn't had guests and stuff is starting to put out some of the little bit of, oh, different vibe, more mature time, adult people time, no more demon time. I ain't saying we on angel time, but we ain't on demon time. We on like just regular human time. And we gonna piece it up in the center, I promise you that. But haven't came up with the new name of the podcast. Hadn't none of the I've done none of the work. I just know what I want the podcast itself to look like, as far as the production of it, but like the marketing stuff on the outside, none of that. But we'll figure it out, and we're gonna do a nice rollout. But I want to thank everybody who's taken part of this pod crew. Voice of the Ville, all those people came through. Anybody who's ever given me an interview, anybody who said they were gonna give me an interview and they didn't, anybody who I reached out to do an interview and we never got it done. All of y'all, thank you, man. Friends, family. 200 episodes, man. It's a lot. It's been fun. Hey, but let's have a shit, man. Let's have one last episode of the Big Baby Podcast, and maybe it'll be a good one. But what do I know? I'm just a big motherfucking baby, and I'm back. We falling, big baby.
Hold up, big baby. Hold up, big baby.
Big baby.
Hold up, big baby. Hold up, big baby.
And I'm back. We falling, big baby.
Hold up, big baby. Hold up, big baby.
I had to throw that big motherfucker in there for y'all just for the last time. This will be my last time. Oh, this will be my last time. This will be my last time. I don't when my next time is. I don't know. We falling, big baby. All right, first topic, man. Are you a stalker? So I watched the show Are You a Stalker, right? That was a pretty good show. Interesting. Takes you into the life of wild people, some creep people, some crazy mother. Watch your mouth. Right? But no, so seriously. I heard about the show on another podcast. It gets way more views than I do, so I'm not going to shout them out. And I'm like, hey, let me watch it. And you watch it and you go, man, this is dense. This is very dense. Like, so dense. You go, where do we unpack this, right? Because somewhere between you go from interested in somebody and showing them that you're interested in them to, oh my God, you're a nutso, you're a stalker. Get out of my face, right? And even like within that, like that right there, you go, well, what happened to that person to where they didn't understand that no means no? And at what point do you go, I've exhibited some of these behaviors or I've expected some of these behaviors, but I didn't want to go to that degree. And what I take away from it is, as humans, we got to be more honest with one another. We've got to tell the truth to one another. We've got to expect the truth from others. And it's like that. And that's the way it is. Because one thing that I found in damn near every situation, right, was there was some gray area for the stalker to for the stalker to feel like they had a chance. And don't get me wrong, each stalker was disillusioned in their own way. Their view of what was the way to act was wrong. But they were optimistic and they're looking for optimism. And maybe because I don't have the mind of those type stalkers, I don't have the mind of a true stalker. I don't have the mind of a creep. I can't imagine that they were like thinking that everything that they were receiving was positive, right? You know, you know, I understand being optimistic. I understand looking for a clue, a breadcrumb to feed your narrative, right? I understand all of that stuff, but it got interesting because I'm looking at the behavior, and I go, man, we normalize a lot of this stuff in my community, Black community, right? I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm looking at this chipped light in this unpainted door, and it looks very poor. So I'm gonna sit this way, okay? But no, so I go. Some of this behavior is praised by some, expected by others, but then there's the line that gets crossed to where it's no longer a friendly chase. It's no longer me showing you that I'll go to the ends of the earth. I can show you the world. It was like, hey, bro, I don't want to see the world. I just want to see the state of Georgia. But I can show you the world. No, don't show me the world because I don't want to see it. I done seen it already, and I don't like it. I like Georgia. But it's talking like, I can show you the world. Like it was cute when a lad just popped up on Jasmine's balcony because they ended up together. But that's stalker behavior. So, question: are you a stalker? You gonna sit there and be like, no, I ain't no damn stalker. Hell, come on now, I ain't.
Hold up, you baby. Hold up, you baby.
No, I ain't no stalker. I would never stalk no woman. But hold on. You ever been like, nah, we ain't broke up yet, and you pull up on her, and y'all work it out, and everything comes out the way that y'all want it to be, but y'all were just in your feelings or dishonest with your true feelings, and that's where it landed, right? Or you be like, oh, I'm gonna surprise her at the job, or I'm gonna surprise her. Oh, I see her story. She over here. Oh, I'm gonna surprise her, and it works. Are you a stalker? I don't know. And I'm not the one to say that you are a stalker, but I will say that you display the behavior of a stalker. But the big butt, right? The Beyonce, the BBL, the butt. What in the butt? Nothing in it. Hopefully things out. But the but no. Let me stop. But at what point does your behavior of showing interest, showing love, showing affection become stalker behavior? Because there's a thin line between love and hate. Just like there's a thin line between affection and stalking. Oh, this is ugly. But where's that line drawn and who draws that line, right? Because when I listen to those stalkers talk, I definitely know that they are some creep mother. They some creeps, right? And maybe I'm a dummy. Maybe I fall victim to listening to their side of the story. But I also think that some of those creeps were in their brain well intentioned. And I'm not defending them because what they did was absolutely wrong. And the ones who got locked up should have been locked up. Now, and more than locked up, they should have got some rehabilitation so that they could come back and reintegrate into society as better people, right? I think that's what jail should do, make you a better person, not a worse person. Conversation for another day. But are you a stalker? Are you pulling up? Are you checking his or her phone? Are you saying where you been? Nah, I don't. Was you really there? Are you pulling up to show up to figure out if they were actually there? Are you trying to pull him or her away from his or her friends because I don't know? Are you drunk dialing? Ooh. Yeah, are you drunk dialing? Because I'm not saying that drunk dialing is stalking. Full-fledged. But it could be the first step. And I ain't saying I ain't never drunk dialed before. I ain't gonna say it be that hypocrite. But have you drunk dialed beyond the point? Have you drunk dialed beyond the point say, hey, bro, you're drunk dial, I'll never get an answer. You're drunk text, I'll never get an answer. And I'm not saying if you do that, you are a stalker. But you could be if you don't get under control. Don't let go. That In Vogue, Don't Let Go. I could almost take a commercial break for y'all right now just to listen to that Don't Let Go. Because see, the problem is In Vogue telling you don't let go. And I'm telling you to let go. You gotta let go and let God, because you can't be no stalker. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't let go, you're gonna end up on Netflix in season 2 in a jumpsuit with shackles on. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna get out. I just wanna get out. You don't want the shackles on your feet so you can't dance. No. You want to let go. So learn to let go and let God or let whoever you believe in deliver you from that torn relationship. And if you feel like that you can't let go of a relationship or a person, right? You need to figure out what's stopping you from letting go. You need to figure out what's going on inside of you that does not allow you to let go of people who you once were close with, right? Talk to yourself, talk to your therapist, talk to your friends, find out, because guess what, man? Hurt people hurt people. And so oftentimes in our society, so oftentimes in this world, we see that some of the biggest monsters who have done the most damage to our people in our society have been demonized as well. They had a monster under their bed come out from under it. They had a monster from out of the closet come out and hurt them. It doesn't come from nowhere. And I'm not saying that to excuse their actions, because it's your job to take care of your problems, right? There's two sides to mental health, but in order to get to that one side, you got to see what's going on with you. So I'm friends with the monsters. Yeah. You can be friends with them, but understand that your friends can be monsters. You know, monsters can take advantage of you and turn you into a monster. Then you become a hurt person that hurt somebody. But yeah, man. 'Cause I can't pretend Don't you wanna be more than friends? Hold me tight and don't let go. Don't let go. I promise you, I listened to that song more than any other song before I've recorded this podcast. So guess what? It's on repeat. And anytime I pull it up during this pod, we singing. Don't you wanna be more than friends? Hold me tight and don't let go. Don't let go. Have the right to lose control. Don't let go. There's two sides to mental health, right? So I really want to talk about there being two sides to mental health, right? Because when I hear the mental health conversation, I always hear about the victim of mental health. And me being the guy that I am, you know, I'm not really into victim mentality. Even if you are a victim of a situation or a victim of a circumstance, how do you come out of that and no longer be a victim? Is there an answer? No. Not a right answer, but there's an answer that could work for you. So, two sides to mental health. And I came up with this topic from listening to Joe Budden's podcast cover the unfortunate shooting in Chesapeake, Virginia, and at the Walmart about a week ago. And I'm listening to him talk about it, and come to find out, the young boy who did that came out with his manifesto. He had a manifesto, he had a letter of sort, and I read pieces of it. Long story short, he was wishing that his parents recognized it. He talked about uh, his inept social skills, wanting certain women and stuff like that. And let me tell you what, I've heard this from other people, but look at dog. Weird people get picked on, and at some point, these weirdos they go crazy and they do this weird ass shit, right? That's what happens. And yeah, there's a more diplomatic way that I could approach this. I could say people who are suffering from mental health crises, people who suffer from mental health disorders, are the ones who are more likely to fly off the rails and make these irrational decisions because of their mental health. That's the diplomatic way of saying it. But I don't want to be diplomatic right now because I want to have a conversation with you all. I want to have an honest conversation about the two sides to mental health. Because we always talk about the victim of mental health, the bullied kid, right? The one who never fit in. And I'm going to say, well, why didn't this person fit in? Why didn't this person find a group that he or she could fit into? And why didn't this person look into his or herself to become a better person? Hey, you home? Because I I think that this conversation is one that doesn't get two perspectives. Right? I truly believe that you have a personal responsibility to maintain positive mental health. You have a personal responsibility to learn your triggers, understand your triggers, and learn how to live with your triggers and control them because you're the one holding that gun. And no matter how much other people may tap at that trigger, touch that trigger, only you can pull it. And this is my belief, right? This ain't nobody else's belief. This is mine. And if you allow someone else to pull your trigger and someone gets shot, you bear that responsibility. And when I speak on controlling your triggers, I don't mean that you should just take what comes with to you. You should just if someone says something, they disrespect you, they pick on you, they bully you, you're supposed to do nothing about it. No, 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 no. But part of controlling your triggers is sometimes confrontation, saying, "Hey, nah, bro, I'm not the one. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Like, leave me alone." Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna keep fucking with me, and then mind your business. Mind your business. Think about it. Get 2 episodes. Fresh Prince, when Ashley was getting bullied, Will told her to act like she was crazy. Mind your business. Mind your business. He had doing all the tick like a experiment went wrong on him. And then when Arnold and Hey Arnold was gonna get bullied, he got told to act like he was crazy. He beat himself up. Don't hit me. I'll hit me. I'm crazy. And what happened? The person backed off. Now the person backed off because they were like, "Oh man, this is unhinged." Because people don't want to touch anything that's unhinged, right? You don't want to open the door that's unhinged because it's gonna fall. So why would you get into a confrontation with someone who's unhinged? You don't, but that speaks to the fear of unhinged people that our society has because we are afraid of the unhinged. But let me tell you what, it's never my job to keep you hinged. I can help you if you tell me. But there's two sides to mental health. And so often, like when I hear about mental health, especially in a lot of like pop culture, right? They want to talk about the artist who's getting beat up for bad album sales. They want to talk about the athlete who had a bad game and said something they shouldn't have said on Twitter, or their Twitter mentions getting blown up. They want to talk about the successful, famous individuals in the society and how they deal with their mental health and how they are often exposed. And it's like, hey, guy, if you worked at a factory all day, how would you feel if somebody just stood over your neck, over your shoulder, and criticized you and told you, bro, I make $18 an hour. I don't make $18 million a year. You don't get up out my face. What I do does not deserve. Take that back. What I do does not create revenue to be criticized. See, there is revenue in the criticism of professional athletes. There is revenue in the criticism of actors. There's revenue in the criticism of entertainers. There is revenue in the criticism of revenue generating individuals. So when we think about these two sides of mental health, right? When we think about these two sides of mental health, uh, uh, it it's highs and lows. right? So think about this. Because when we talk about the pressure that athletes are under, the pressure that entertainers are under, and the fact that fans can just say "f you, f you, f you, f you, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck" all day, every day, right? Do I think that's okay? No, I think it's dumb. If some, I don't even use Twitter, so like I hardly talk shit about professionals on Twitter. I have before. I probably will again. Who knows? But w- the way I look at it, right, is because you get paid a lot of money to play the sport that you play or do what you do. We're gonna talk about athletes, right? Talk about athletes, entertainers. You get paid a lot of money to entertain and play sports. Along with that, you get you get interested into rooms that your intellect may never get you into, but your money and your team can get you there. What is the yang to that, right? For every yin, there's a yang, right? For every action, there's an equal and or opposite reaction. If that happens in science, how come it doesn't happen in socials, right? How come we can't look and say, hey, if you're gonna have a high positive social impact, you're gonna have a high negative social impact, right? Because for every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. So what's the difference? What's the difference? Oh, I know the difference. Famous people talk about famous people and they want to make a soft landing spot for those famous people so that their landing spot is just as soft. But I ain't famous. And I don't know no famous motherfuckers. But what I tell you is that guess what? If you want to have a high action up here, that reaction is gonna be low all the way down here. Because we're talking about balance. We're talking about maintaining homeostasis. We're talking about just imagine being Kevin Durant on a max contract. No, damn that. Let's go Steph Curry. Imagine being Steph Curry on a super max contract on a multi-billion-dollar lifetime deal with Under Armour and getting no criticism, feeling no pain. Do you even appreciate the billions? Did he say more money, more problems? He didn't say more money, more problems because it was cool. He said more money, more problems because it's reality. And the more you get, the more you got to deal with. And if you don't want to deal with if you don't want to deal with the more, don't deal with it. Do something else. Deal with the less. Just because you're good enough to do something, you are qualified to do something, does not mean that you get to do it. I'm black. Trust me. I'm an expert in this. If not me, my culture. But I say this to say that there are consequences for every action. And I feel like we have a society that's trying to get rid of the consequences. They just want the actions. Oh, I just want this great life. I just want the money, the fame, the women, the chains. I don't want to deal with none of this other bullshit. Meanwhile, the only reason you're doing this is for the women. You just want all the success and fame for ass, just for some tail. But you don't want no bad tweets. You don't want no naysayers. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And this is why I get so upset. I get so bothered in black media and the loud black voices. Because so many of the loud black voices are dumb, high school dropouts, uh, maybe high school grads, but they're not well read people. And I'm not saying that your education level speaks to your intelligence, but I will say that there are oftentimes a higher level of intellect for those who are more educated, right? So, yeah, read more, understand more, get outside of your comfort zone, get outside of your echo chamber, and get a better understanding of what the hell's going on, because there's two sides to mental health, and everyone is not entitled to great mental health, just like everyone's not entitled to great physical health. You have to work towards that. And if you don't work towards that, you'll never get it. And if you never get it, it's okay. Because guess what? There's plenty of unhealthy people walking around here day in and day out. We act like everybody's supposed to be physically healthy. We act like everybody's supposed to be mentally healthy. We act like everybody's supposed to be an entrepreneur. We act like everybody's supposed to be a millionaire. No, we ain't. No. Being good at something is hard. And those who are either physically gifted with those skills or those who have the hard work to obtain those skills, those are the ones who get it. Yeah, life's not fair. Life's not fair. Life's not fair. And the sooner that you realize it and you accept it, your life will be so much better. What do I know? I'm just a baby, and I'm back.
We falling, big baby.
Holla at the baby. Holla at the baby.
We falling, big baby.
Holla at the baby. Holla at the baby.
Oh, baby, I got that feeling. Baby, I got that feeling. Baby. Man, come on, let's talk about Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones comes under fire because apparently 65 years ago, he was a part of a protest of integrating the school in Little Rock, Arkansas. Let me start with duh. And this isn't a shot at Jerry. This is duh. White person, that point in time, his paradigm says blacks and whites don't mix in school. They don't belong here. It's 2022. Let's check their track record. Now, his track record doesn't really say that much has changed. But again, me personally, I would love for people to expand their thoughts outside of their foundation. But I'm reasonable and I understand that most people won't. So if you are a certain person at a certain age, I don't expect anything from you. And I'm not upset when you change the way that you are. Like, I don't. Because these are the breaks. Break it up. So, but Jerry, here's what I want to talk about with Jerry Jones. At what point do we leave the past in the past and judge people off of the future? Because he was 14, 15 years old when this incident happened. My God, please do not judge me off who I was at 14 or 15 years old, because I promise you, he is a different person ideologically than I am today. A lot of characteristics haven't changed. Be honest with you. But some have. Many have. And without my experiences throughout life, those changes would have never happened. And to act like Jerry Jones going to Arkansas and playing football in Arkansas, being his oil business, and then being the owner of the Cowboys, did not change his perspective as a human being from who he was as a teenager in Little Rock, Arkansas, and say, he is who he was back then. All right, then I got one for you. You're the same person you was when you was born. You can't talk. You don't know nobody's name. You can't walk. You can't do shit. You know why? Because you can't progress. Now, how stupid does that sound? Exactly. So if you can't, again, it's not about Jera, because maybe Jera hasn't progressed the way we would like for him to. But to try to hold people to the standard of who they were when they were a younger individual, I can't get with it. I can't get with it at all because we all grow, we all develop, and we deserve that grace. But what do I know? I'm just a big baby, and I'm back.
We ballin', big baby.
Holla at me, baby. Holla at me, baby.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick little break. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're gonna take a quick little break, probably about a 2-minute break, and I'll be back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Sorry about that. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. You talking to the microphone, please?
Hello?
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, so I got 2 topics we're gonna get because I brought my sensation back. Hey, sensation.
Hola.
Hey, you know we speak English on this podcast. You don't come in here speaking that language, that foreign language. Nah, but seriously. I got my sensation back. She's podding with me for my 200th episode and my last podcast as the big baby.
We ballin', big baby.
Holla at me, baby. Holla at me, baby.
And I'm back.
Nah, that was funny. It's good to have you back on the podcast. I told the world that like I'm a dad and a husband, so like that's
Okay.
why I can no longer be the big baby because I actually have like a little baby and what I look like being a big baby with a little baby and all that shit, right? Crazy. But anyways, so I want to talk about the older crush.
Mhm.
And I ain't talking about crushing people older like I did.
Uh-huh.
She's older than me, for those of you who don't know. Okay. And I crushed her. That's why I got a kid.
Oh my gosh.
Back on my funny shit.
Holla at me, baby. Holla at me, baby.
But anyways, so remember a few weeks ago, right? We were watching this episode of Law and Order SVU. And on that episode, you had this soccer player who was a sexual deviant. He was a creep. He was a disgusting guy. He was terrible. But the case that got him was he had sex with like his manager's like teenage daughter who had been around him pretty much his whole life. And she was like, he was her crush as like a little kid growing up. And then she finally felt like she was old enough because she probably had fucked on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? They didn't say he took her virginity. She like, oh yeah. And if you think about it, she probably didn't want him to be her first because she wanted to be confident in herself sexually too, right?
Right.
Like like you know what I'm saying? Let's be humans about this, right? She like,
Right.
oh yeah, nah, this pussy good enough for him.
Yeah.
So that happens. And he is wrong because he had sex with a teenager. Okay? I want to make that very clear. He was wrong for having sex with a teenager. It was illegal and it's immoral and it's creep shit. Okay? But we're going to have an honest conversation about having an older crush because what I think the show did a terrible job of is it took something that was so common and it took an uncommon approach to addressing it. It made it seem like she was the only girl in the world who ever had a crush on an older guy who was around her and her family on a regular basis. And that's just not true. Like, I grew up in a high school as like a little kid, right? My mom worked at a high school and that started in 96. I'm in pre-K. So I was in that high school from pre-K until I graduated from that school. Me in second grade, I had crushes on girls in that school because, like, I'm seeing them. I'm thinking they cute and all that shit. I'm a little kid, right? But then I'll tell you, like, as I got older, and then I was grown, and you see them out. Oh man, you Miss Lee, son. Nah, you Miss Lee, son. And as much as it's true that like I was grown at that point in time, I was also Miss Lee's son. And the way the guy in this show should have looked at that young lady is like, hey, nah, you my manager's daughter, bro. Like, yeah, you might feel like you grown now, you doing what I'm doing, and you know what I mean? But nah, we can't do the do because I still see you like as this child, even though you're not. But in this vein, I see you as a child. It's just like my cousin, Big Austin. Shout out to Big Austin. He watches the show. I love you, big dog. But when I talk about him to the wife, I be like, little fat ass Austin. And like when she met him, she's like, he's not little or fat. Why do you call him little fat ass Austin? I'm like, because when he was younger, he was little. He was a little fat ass. His name's Austin. So he was a little fat ass Austin. And I called him that. And it just stuck with me because although he is bigger than me, he think he can beat me up. He can't. But he will always be a little fat ass Austin to me, and I still respect him as a grown man, but at the same time, like it's like when I was in the strip club with him for his brother's bachelor party, it was like, we ain't supposed to, no, you ain't. but it's because of the awkwardness of the age gap, right? And I think that's where we go, like the awkwardness of the age gap, right? And I know I went longer than I was supposed to before I brought you in, but like, you remember how they ended that show and they didn't hit like it being a real thing, right? They're just like, "Oh, you're young, you don't know what you were doing. You just
Victimizing.
yeah."
Yeah.
So, do you think she was a victim?
Uh, in the way that it was presented in the show, no, because like you said, it was a family friend.
And she seemed like she just wanted to fuck him,
Yeah.
and then she fucked him.
Which, at that age, you're not the wisest.
And
So the decisions that you make are not.
I bet you fucked somebody at a legal age that wasn't the wisest.
No comment.
So what's the difference when you're at a legal age and it's not wise? If you're at a illegal but knowing what you're doing and accepting of the consequences age, what's the difference?
There isn't really a difference.
And again, this is not me saying, "Hey, older guys go have sex with young women." No, I'm not saying that, right? I'm just like trying to have like a real conversation about it because it is such a weird gray area because the difference in 17 years, 364 days and 18 years could be you having to put that sign in your yard every year at Halloween. But what's the difference in the person? Like what's difference in the 35-year-old who likes 18, 19, 20-year-olds
Yeah.
and the 22-year-old who likes 16, 17, 18-year-olds? The 22-year-old is viewed as worse in our society than a 30-year-old.
It's always been that way though. Like when I look back at when I was a kid and even the who it is, like if the woman was the older one and the male was the younger one, it was just this wild thing, right?
Oh, if the
Where
male was the younger one, oh, he winning and no one cares.
and then when it's an older man and a younger woman, there's it's just like even as adults, it just they could be all both legal age, and if there's a huge gap in between, it's still looked at as wrong and disgusting.
Depends on who you ask because Diddy is with Young Miami and no one cares. But she's 28, so it's okay for her to be with a
Mm,
man in his 50s.
that's because they're famous. It's not day-to-day people.
Yo, so you talked about the difference in the men and the women, and we had a
Mm.
conversation earlier today, right, with the difference between like men and women, and we were talking about like the microscope needed for a daughter versus a
Oh,
son,
right.
and I think that's the same thing that goes into that, right? Like the male teacher who has sex with the young student is a creep, but the male student who has sex with the female teacher, he's a legend.
Right. Depending on what the teacher looks like.
But usually the teachers don't be ugly.
Yeah, but what if he was just doing it to get a good grade?
I'll reserve my comment for off mic. That's not okay. You should not have sex for good grades. But like the way both are viewed,
Mm.
but what's really different? Like I think that we've built. Y'all got some nerve. I think we've built gender biases in our society
Mm.
today that enable men
Mm.
and put shackles on women because we don't give women enough credit for what they can do based on these gender biases.
Maybe it's not today. Maybe it's things that like past and a part of the whole woke and women empowerment thing. It's actually being less of a thing. Just people like me who are more traditional think that way until something gets brought up, like our conversation earlier, where you're like, oh, yeah, but what's the difference? The only difference is that are always taught to be macho and don't don't cry, don't complain, don't say anything. You have to basically be this macho man from a young age.
Macho man.
So when you said
Yeah.
that earlier, I was like, all right, that actually makes sense. And I didn't even think about that.
Oh, the reason I moved your foot like that made that face because it was like making like noise.
I know I always forget.
I know you do. It's okay. And I just made the ugly face. So let me just like put it out here. All right. So I guess we'll close out this topic with like the odor crushing is actually weird. And we talked about it. There's not a right answer because it gets to a place to where it's legal. And what the hell am I to say about something that's legal?
Yeah. And the legal age is different from place to place. So,
Yeah, let me tell y'all something who are listening. It sounds like the people downstairs are beating the ceiling to tell us to shut up. And let me tell you, last week that dog was barking at 2 a.m. So the level of sensitivity I have
wasn't it
at,
4?
at 10:53, I wasn't up at 4.
Oh,
It's
it happened again like at 4.
it's meh. And they keep their TV on in their master bedroom super loud. Like, bro, turn that shit down. Put that shit on sleep timer.
Mhm. I used to do that.
So I got to think about stop demonizing sex, right?
Mhm.
Because let me go to my archive because I see these posts. I wish my internet would work a lot better so I could find the post that I'm looking for. I posted it yesterday. Excuse me. And it was talking about things we're gonna give up and we're gonna give up in December, and maybe I actually saved it because I find a lot of bitter single people. Maybe it's women, but maybe it's not women. But that's just what I consume. Trying to like tell people,
It said something about from December 1st, it's no sex, no meat, no alcohol,
yeah,
no social media or something, just a list of no's.
yeah. And what I didn't like about it was you took a bunch of things that like are possibly toxic and regularly toxic in most people's lives, and then you threw sex in there, and I go, ain't my fault your pH balance off.
Well, depending on how you sex, it may be toxic depending on how
It's
you do it,
but it's not the action; it's the
who
way
you
you
do it
choose. It's not,
with.
but it's not sex. Sex ain't the problem. You're the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
But in order to figure that out, you gotta abstain from it for a little bit and do the work. Not just abstain from it and not do anything with it and not figure out what the negative toxic behaviors that you have associated with it.
or you should have sex with the right people.
Exactly, but how do they know that how do they get to the right people if they themselves clearly feel like that's a toxic thing to have in order to cut out along with the other list of toxic things? If they're continuously doing it, they have to abstain from it. Realize what they're doing, work through that, whatever it is that's uh, having them be attracted to these people.
Mm-mm. No, no, no. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna let that ride. Right. Here's where I'm not gonna let that ride, because when we get on here, we get vulnerable, right? What did I say to you that made you realize that the little conversations that we were having, that we enjoyed, could turn into something bigger?
Mm.
I'm tired of fucking these hoes. Specifically, I'm tired of fucking my hoes. And I'm not saying that on some like braggadocious type stuff, because it wasn't crazy like that or nothing. But it was to a point, and I know this is gonna make her super uncomfortable, but like it was to a point to where I enjoyed talking to you more than I enjoyed being with other women,
Mm.
right? Who did other things for me. And I knew, based on who you were, based on who you presented yourself to be, based on what you told me you were about,
Mm.
I didn't know when I was gonna have sex again when I said, "Hey, fuck them." Like, I rather talk to you than do that, right?
Mm.
It didn't come at a place of abstinence that made me realize that, right? It was a place of trying to figure out, trying to please two masters, you know what I mean? Essentially. And you go, romaine lettuce tastes better than iceberg lettuce. I got a bunch of iceberg lettuce over here, but this romaine lettuce, it tastes better.
Why you gotta refer to it with lettuce?
Because I just wanted y'all to let us, as in let us and me, um, be a part of your life. But no, it was really just like looking at different things and realizing within yourself what's important to you. I don't always think abstaining from something makes you realize what's not for you. Sometimes consuming makes you realize what's for you, right? Like I didn't know I don't like ciders, so I started drinking cider.
But they know that they like sex. It's not that they don't know that they don't like it.
But do they know that they don't like bad sex? And again, you can have good sex with somebody who you're not connected to, but then when you have good sex with somebody who you're connected to, that what you thought was good sex is really not that good of sex. Like it was good fucking, but it wasn't good sex. And for those of you who have had good sex with somebody who you've cared about, you know what I mean? Like there's a difference between fucking good and having good sex, right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm saying all of that to say that I think that you can find what's for you through consumption and through abstinence. I think it's two different ways to go about it, and it depends on the personality. But when I look at that whole conversation, because you see it so often on social media, ladies, we ain't having sex this month. No, we ain't. Why? Hold on. Why does your plight make taking sex off the menu that important? And hold on, why is sex the most important thing that you have to offer? Like, is like, are you more valuable? Because I got a friend, right? Because now I'm about to go into rant mode, right? I got a friend who called sex a wet spot in friction. And so if I view your sex as a wet spot in friction, I promise you, I don't think that's the best thing you have to offer me. And if you think that's the best thing you have to offer me, then maybe you don't know your worth. Or maybe your worth is more, you know what I'm saying? Maybe your worth is more than what you think it is, or maybe it's less, right? I I don't know. Cause I've never been like, you can't have this sex unless you meet these do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. You know what I mean? 5 steps. But nah, like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, here's what I want from this, right? Stop demonizing sex. Sex is great, especially with the right person. More importantly, with the right person. Like you will have the best sex in the world with the right person. Like if you are with the right person for you, y'all will have the best sex and
Make
you'll
little babies.
make a baby on your wedding night. And I mean, it shit happens. But like, sex isn't the problem. You're the problem, and you need to figure out how to. Oh, you got something? What? Because you popped up. When I say sex is not the problem, because I feel like you disagree with me.
More so in the sense of the post itself, not what you're saying right now. What you're saying right now makes sense, but we don't know the person to know what they're who they are and if they have their toxic traits or like we don't know exactly what this person
She went viral on Twitter. I assume she has no soul. I mean, I'm just being real. Like when we taking stuff from like Twitter, I just assume they have no soul. Honestly, man, I had like some other topics on here that I wanted to talk about, but I've hit my hour mark. Can't really add. I can't open up my Instagram the way I want to because I don't have service in this room.
you have stuff saved.
Yeah, it's my save stuff. It's not even like my save stuff. It's like my archive stuff because my save stuff was actually coming up. There's one I wanted to run by you though. And 3 wishes. We were 3 wishes. From touching the heavens above. I heard that. Here's a few things. What's keeping you single? Wait. This is my social media snapshot. What's keeping you single? Stuck in your ways, trust issues, choosing the same type, still hurt from the past, waiting for them to find you, too busy being busy. You lost hope. You prefer the single life, all of the above. Well, that niggas sound miserable, don't they?
If someone chooses all the above, you got some work to do because that's just a lot. A lot of pain in the beginning. That's just a lot of options.
I think the internet makes it cool to be a woman, like a scorned woman. To be like,
It's not just women though. I've seen a lot of men posting some like
yeah, you're right. Bro.
heartbroken stuff.
I think the internet makes it cool to be scorned instead of like cool to be happy. And then like y'all think that's reality. And I promise you, outside it's not like that.
How you know what outside is like?
'Cause I met you out there. Like when I tell you that the both of us had traumas that we have not gotten over, we had hurt and stuff that we thought we were over, we weren't over, and we had other things that we were over, and being with each other showed us that we were over those things. But like we still work through those things. It's part of it. So like, don't let the internet tell you your relationship can't work.
Right.
With like, you got to be totally healed to start something. You don't. Because you'll never be totally healed.
Right. Because even when I thought I was totally healed, not totally healed, but healed.
Like,
I was like, wait a minute.
Relationship trauma is not broken bones. It's tendonitis. It's something that doesn't go away. You just learn how to like rehab through it and like deal with it.
Yeah, navigate it.
Like, how do you deal with your tendonitis? I promise you, it's not a torn ACL. It's tendonitis.
And sometimes you can feel that flare up coming. Yeah, and then you get to stop it before it really takes off.
But if you don't take care of it properly, it can turn into a more serious injury. But like your relationship trauma is tendonitis. I think that's probably the best thing I've said on this whole entire episode. like that was some heat. I was actually that's some Twitter shit. Like that's some social media shit. I might actually come back and clip this one because relationship trauma is tendonitis. I got one for you. A woman can be in the worst position possible, and the only words you'll hear from her is "I'll figure it out," and I promise you, she gonna find a way. She might have a trillion breakdowns, but she gonna get through it. To all the women, your hard work does not go unnoticed. Keep striving. So do men just give up when shit gets hard?
Just because they're talking about women does not mean they're like just secluding them. I can't even think of my words right now, but just because they're not saying men and women does not mean that they're talking shit about men. They're just uplifting women.
Is that how you receive that?
Yeah.
Okay.
She could have easily, I'm assuming it's a woman because
You damn right a woman wrote it. I mean,
she could have
never-
easily wrote
woman
or
can be-
tweeted
but she
the same thing about a man.
But then why wouldn't you just put a person if you could say something about a man?
Because why does everything have to be analyzed like that? Why can't she just do two? And
You think she did too?
probably to get more retweets, repost.
The page is Awakened Goddess.
That's funny.
I know Awakened Goddess, but I won't say what I want to say. Love you. About family. Calm down. Let me see what else I got. I got some other stuff. Okay, hear me out. A reality show where billionaire CEOs have to live off their lowest paid employee salary for a month.
That would be funny. I'd watch that.
I don't know if I'd watch it, but I probably would. I'd probably let you talk to me about it.
Yeah.
There's a pedicure for that.
I know.
Let's see what else we got.
I'd really watch that to see how they would struggle.
I think it would be a great thing for our society because it would make people who have realize what the people who don't have deal with.
Yeah.
And maybe they consider like adjusting.
Like having their whatever amount of money they have and then getting paid. Because of course if you have of the lowest paying person.
I mean, for a month now, you put them in government housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't give them. They don't have access to their money.
No, hell no.
Because then they can easily just buy everything to make themselves comfortable.
Exactly. You gotta live off that rate. Government housing.
Yeah. However that person is living.
$1,200 a month.
Right.
How do I eat off this? Shit, you tell me. I don't
Figure it out.
Sweetie. Sweetie, right?
That's a rapper.
Rich
singer.
That's Mike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Our album sold less than 2,000 copies.
Less.
Yeah. And
I've never actually listened to her music, so I don't really have anything to say.
You want me to play something for you?
No, I'm okay.
So she hops on Twitter and says, "Hate parade. I must be that bitch. I make music for pretty bitches. If you can't relate, I understand."
Oh, I guess I can't relate.
You ain't pretty?
I guess not, based off of what she just said.
And that's where I'm going with this. If you gotta qualify your stuff as being some exclusive stuff when you're selling it to people, and you're selling it at market price, and in order for you to make a profit off of it, that you need your market price item to sell at a high rate, miss me with your insecurities, okay? It's okay if the music's bad. It's okay, like, hey, sweetie, people still want to pipe. You know what I'm saying? Like you look the same way you looked before that album came out. Okay. Can't speak to your personality. I can't really speak to your music because I don't listen to it. But you said rich nigga 8-figure, that's your type. Big, you gonna ride the thing all night? Well, you might need to start riding some of that, cause get you a rich nigga, cause the music ain't gonna keep you there. But no, I just find it funny when people want to be like, oh, you got to be rich to understand this. Oh, you got to be a bad bitch to understand this. Or maybe what you're providing to us isn't understandable or it's not good. And maybe you should go back in the lab and say, well, who do I want to buy my music? Because I promise you, sweetie, if you only want bad bitches to buy your music, you're going to be broke. And be real with you. If you only want bad bitches buying your music, you're going to be broke because they're not going to buy it. It's too much other music out here.
Busy being bad bitches.
Say again?
I said they're too busy being bad bitches.
Right. Like they got money to take from suckers. You know, bad bitches, they like suckers. Dum pops. That's their favorite type. That's their type. Oh man, boy, I be having fun. Let's see. Oh, here you go. December 1st, no alcohol, no sex, unhealthy carbs, workout 5 times a week for 31 days. Who is with me? No sex don't fit in with all that shit. No alcohol, okay, you want to be healthier. No unhealthy carbs, got it. Work out 5 times a week. You should be doing that anyways. But sex don't tie in with that. Guess who works out 5 times a day?
A day?
I mean 5 days a week. I drink alcohol. And I will be having sex in a few more weeks. 3 weeks. Thank you, baby. In 3 weeks, I'll be having sex. Sorry, that's not 31 days. Unhealthy carbs. I live for the weekend. But honestly, the thing that bothers me about this post more so than the demonization of sex, right, is create balance in your life. Like, don't live off fasting from things that may be staples in your life. Find ways to incorporate those things in your life and long term where it actually makes sense. So if you're gonna eat unhealthy carbs, well, how often are you gonna do it? Like, lessen when you do that, right? If you're gonna have unhealthy sex, lessen when you have unhealthy sex. If you're gonna drink alcohol, don't drink alcohol all the time. Figure out the right times to put the bottle down.
Yeah.
You know, but work out 5 times a week though. Like that you should just do that. Just work out, okay? But you got to figure out balance in your life instead of doing these crazy extremes and stuff. And anything else on here I want to talk about? The way these MF Rose babes leave me with puddles in my bed and lick me straight to sleep. I guess celibacy isn't so bad during cuffing season after all.
People post stuff like that.
Yeah, on the spiritual word. And I commented on it and said, that ain't spiritual. Oh, that's my new hashtag. That ain't spiritual.
For them?
Everybody.
Oh.
Anytime somebody says something I don't think it's spiritual, I'm like, that ain't spiritual. But now that's crazy. You know, when they talk about no sex before marriage, I had sex before marriage. Did you have sex before marriage?
No.
Yeah, we had sex before marriage. So even if you
No.
that's a lie. But nah, but seriously, I understand what sex before marriage means. And not saying that you should wait until you're married before you have sex, that there's a level of maturity that you need to achieve before you start having sex because of the other shit that comes with sex, right? But we got women.
Holla at me, baby. Holla at me, baby.
Going like, I'm okay being celibate during cuffing season because I got this rose and it got me wet as fuck. You know, your fingers can do the same thing. Like, And if you are constantly masturbating, you're not truly being celibate. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you're not fucking, you're not having sex, but you're still getting off. And what is this season of celibacy for? What are you searching?
Yeah.
You want to talk about your season? You can say no.
No, not yet.
She don't want to talk about her season.
Different pod.
Well, it won't be on Big Baby's pod because this is Big Baby's last pod, and I don't have anything else I want to talk about as Big Baby. So, glass right here, and I'm gonna turn it up, and I'm gonna put the bottle down for the last time. And it's been a good run, guys. I've loved you. You can't see my face, and that's okay. We're talking about putting the bottle down. Putting the bottle down. And I've loved this podcast. This podcast has been therapy. It's been a friend when I didn't have a friend. It's been a listening ear when nobody wanted to hear what the hell I had to say. And I'm so happy that all of you who've ever tuned into this podcast cared what I had to say and listened. We'll be back. We'll be back because we still want to talk, but we want to come back the right way. And the same way we came into the baby, we've now matured and we got to grow up. So thank you for everything. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following along. Thank you if you participated. I just want to thank you for making me who I am. Y'all didn't really make me who I am. Y'all just like listen to who I am. And I'm a little emotional about this shit because I'll never be like, hey, it's the big motherfucking baby. And I'm out.
We ballin', big baby.
Hold up, big baby. Hold up, big baby.